The Veil Nebula hung in space like frozen smoke, purple and blue gases swirling in patterns that sensors could barely penetrate. Somewhere inside were 50,000 human refugees living in makeshift stations and ancient colony ships. They were the forgotten, the ones who could not afford coalition taxes or refused to follow coalition laws. Deho had promised them supplies, food, medicine, equipment to repair their failing life support systems. The cargo hold of the Rekindled was full, enough to keep the refugees alive for another 6 months. But between him and them was a coalition fleet. 20 warships waited at the edge of the nebula. Deho could feel them through the ship's sensors, spread out in a careful pattern designed to trap him. 2 dreadnoughts formed the center of the formation, massive vessels bristling with weapons. Admiral Cathara had not been lying. This was the coalition's full response. "We could leave," Hyejin said quietly. She stood next to Deho in the control room, watching the tactical display Bora had created. "Come back later when the fleet is gone. The refugees will be dead by then," Deho said. "Their stations are failing. They need this supply run now." Subin checked her weapon systems. "Even with the Rekindled, 20 ships is too many. We might disable a few, but they'll overwhelm us eventually." "Probably," Deho agreed. Bora turned from her station. "So what's the plan?" Deho smiled. It was not a happy expression. "We don't fight to win. We fight to humiliate them so badly that the entire galaxy sees what we can do." He opened a communication channel, broadcasting to the coalition fleet and every monitoring station in range. Jiwoo had taught him the importance of audiences. "This battle would be watched across dozens of worlds. This is Deho of the Rekindled. I'm here to deliver supplies to refugees. You can let me pass or you can try to stop me. Either way, those people are getting their food." Captain Thexel's face appeared on the screen. The reptilian officer looked satisfied, almost happy. "You are surrounded. Your ship is impressive, but you cannot escape. Surrender now and you will be treated fairly." "We both know that's a lie," Deho said. "So let's skip to the part where I embarrass you." He cut the connection and placed both hands on the control panel. The Rekindled responded eagerly, power surging through every system. Deho had learned to read the ship's moods over the past 6 months. Right now it felt excited, ready for a real challenge. "Here we go," he said. The Rekindled shot forward, accelerating faster than any coalition ship could match. The fleet responded immediately, converging on his position. Weapons fire lit up space, hundreds of beams and missiles all aimed at the silver ship. Deho felt every attack before it arrived. The ship's sensors were connected to his mind now, feeding him information faster than conscious thought. He moved through the weapons fire like a dancer, each dodge perfectly timed. The Rekindled rolled, spun, dove, and climbed. Nothing touched it. "Subin, disable that cruiser on our left," Deho said. The weapons officer activated the electromagnetic pulse weapon. A wave of energy washed over the coalition cruiser, and its lights died. The ship went dark, its crew unharmed but helpless. "Hyejin, I need more power to the engines," Deho called. "You're already at 80%, she replied from engineering. "Any more and we risk burning out the core." "Then give me 90%. The ship surged forward again. Deho flew straight toward the 2 dreadnoughts, the largest and most dangerous ships in the fleet. Their weapons were so powerful they could crack a planet's crust, but they were also slow, built for overwhelming firepower rather than maneuverability. The dreadnoughts fired. Massive beam weapons, each one capable of destroying a cruiser in a single shot. Deho waited until the last possible moment, feeling the attacks through his connection to the ship. Then he rolled the Rekindled 90 degrees. The beams passed above and below him, close enough that the heat made the hull groan. The 2 shots continued past the Rekindled and hit each other, energy from both dreadnoughts colliding in a massive explosion that blinded sensors for kilometers. In the confusion, Deho fired. Not at the dreadnoughts, but at their communications arrays. Precise shots, surgically removing their ability to coordinate with the rest of the fleet. "Bora, can you hack their command network?" Deho asked. The young pilot grinned. "Already on it. Their security is good, but not as good as ours." Over the next 10 minutes, the Rekindled tore through the coalition formation. Deho did not destroy anything. He disabled engines, knocked out weapon systems, crashed communications arrays. Each shot was perfect, removing the fleet's ability to fight without killing anyone, and all of it was being broadcast across the galaxy. Jiwoo's camera drones positioned throughout the nebula captured every moment. People on dozens of worlds watched a single human ship make fools of the Coalition's finest military force. Thexul's voice came over emergency channels, raw and angry. "All ships collision course.
Ram that vessel!"
Take it down even if you have to sacrifice yourselves." But the Coalition ships were too slow. Deho outmaneuvered every attempt. He flew between asteroids at speeds that should have been impossible, led pursuing ships into the densest parts of the nebula where their sensors failed, and always stayed 3 moves ahead. Finally, after 30 minutes of combat, 15 of the 20 ships were disabled. The other 5 were retreating. The 2 dreadnoughts floated helplessly, their crews trapped inside ships that no longer responded to commands. Deho brought the rekindled to a stop near the largest dreadnought. He opened every communication channel, every frequency. This message would reach across Coalition space. "You sold this ship for nothing because you didn't understand it," he said. His voice was calm, steady. "You don't understand humans either. You think we're weak because we don't augment ourselves with machines. You think we're inferior because we're new to the galaxy. But you're wrong. Humans are adaptable. We learn, we endure. We take things you think are worthless and turn them into legends." He paused, making sure everyone was listening. "I didn't want to fight the Coalition. I just wanted to keep what was mine. But you forced this. You tried to steal, to intimidate, to crush. And look what happened. 1 human, 1 ship, and your entire fleet is crippled. How many of you are watching this and finally understanding? Humans are not your servants. We're not lesser species. We're survivors, and we're done accepting second place." He flew the rekindled past the dreadnoughts, through the gap in the fleet formation, and into the Veil Nebula. The Coalition ships did not follow. They could not. The refugees were waiting in their desperate stations when Deho arrived. He docked with the largest habitat, a converted cargo hauler held together with patches and hope. The refugees helped unload supplies, their faces showing disbelief and gratitude. An old woman grabbed Deho's hand as he carried a crate of medicine. "Is it true? Did you really beat the Coalition fleet?" "I didn't beat them," Deho said. "I just proved they could be beaten." The news spread faster than light. Within hours, every human colony knew what happened. Within days, the entire galaxy had seen the footage. The Coalition tried to suppress it, to claim it was propaganda. But too many people had watched it happen live. Protests erupted on human worlds. People who had accepted Coalition authority their entire lives suddenly questioned it. If 1 human with 1 ship could defeat a fleet, what else was possible? The Coalition government called emergency sessions. They argued for weeks about how to respond. Some wanted to escalate, to send an even larger fleet. Others pointed out that would only prove Deho's point. Eventually, they did something unexpected. They invited humanity to the negotiating table. Admiral Cathara contacted Deho 1 final time. "You did it. I don't know how, but you actually changed things. The Council wants to renegotiate humanity's status, better trade terms, representation on the High Committee, protection for our colonies. They're offering you a full pardon if you'll meet with them." "And if I refuse?" Deho asked. "Then you stay a fugitive forever." "But Deho, you won. Take the victory." He thought about it for a long time. The rekindled hummed softly around him, patient as always. His crew waited for his decision. Yejin Bora Subin, they had risked everything to follow him. "I'll meet with them," Deho said finally. "But I'm keeping my ship." The negotiations took months. Deho sat across from Coalition leaders, refusing to be intimidated. He demanded concrete changes: equal treatment for humans, protection for colonies, access to Coalition technology and markets, representation on every major council, and they agreed. Not to everything, but to enough. Humanity's place in the galaxy shifted overnight. They were still new, still learning, but they were no longer dismissed. The rekindled never left Deho's possession. Instead, he used it to train other humans, teaching them how to interface with Ethran technology. Humanity began searching for more Ethran artifacts, becoming the galaxy's experts on the extinct civilization. Ships that others had dismissed as worthless became the foundation of a new human fleet. Dozens of Ethran vessels scattered across old battlefields and forgotten shipyards were recovered and activated. Each one responded to human pilots the same way the rekindled had responded to Deho. Taemin sent one final message, months after the negotiations ended. He looked different, some of his augmentations removed. 3 months after fleeing the Coalition fleet, Daeho had become famous. Not the good kind of famous. The Coalition called him a terrorist, a thief, a danger to galactic peace. They broadcast warnings about him on every official channel. His face appeared on wanted posters in a dozen languages. But on the human colonies, they called him something else. They called him a hero. The Rekindled hung in orbit above New Incheon, a small mining colony on the edge of human space. The planet below was cold and harsh, barely habitable. 2,000 humans lived there, working in dangerous mines to extract rare minerals. They sent most of their profits to a coalition corporation and kept barely enough to survive. Daeho stood in the control room, his hands on the familiar panels. He was not alone anymore. Heejin and Bora had found him 2 months ago, stealing a shuttle and tracking his movements through rumors and sensor reports. They had refused to leave when he told them to go back. "We're crew," Heejin had said simply. "You don't abandon crew." Now Bora was at the secondary control station, a makeshift interface she had built to monitor the ship's systems. Heejin was in engineering, working on improvements to the power distribution, and they had one more person aboard. Subin was not human. She was Coalition, a species called the Velkari, insectoid with 4 arms and compound eyes. She had been a military officer until she watched Daeho's broadcast 3 months ago. Something about it changed her mind about everything. She deserted, found Daeho, and asked to join. "Why?" Daeho had asked her. "Because you're right," Subin said. "The Coalition pretends to be fair, but it's not. Strong species control everything. Weak species serve. I'm tired of serving a lie." Now she was his weapons officer, the only person besides Daeho who could make sense of the Rekindled's strange systems. 3 ships approaching, Bora announced. Pirates. Vexlar-class raiders. Daeho felt them through the ship's sensors. The pirates had been harassing New Incheon for weeks, demanding protection money the colonists could not afford to pay. The Coalition military knew about it but did nothing. Human colonies were low priority. "Let's talk to them," Daeho said. He opened a communication channel. The pirate captain appeared on screen. He was Zilthari, blue-skinned like Velrathi but scarred and dangerous-looking. "Turn around," Daeho said. "Leave this colony alone." The pirate laughed. "The ghost ship. I heard stories about you. They say you're dangerous. But I see only 1 ship and I have 3. Leave now and we won't destroy you." "Last warning," Daeho said. "The pirates open fire." Daeho had been expecting it. He moved the Rekindled between the colony and the pirate ships, absorbing their weapons fire on his shields. The Ethran technology was stronger than anything the Coalition used. The attacks barely registered, then Daeho fired back. Not with the disabling pulse he had used on Coalition ships. With something else, something he had been learning to control. The Rekindled's weapon sent out a beam of concentrated energy. It sliced through the first pirate ship's engines, leaving it dead in space. The second ship tried to run. Daeho's shot caught its weapons array, destroying their ability to fight. The third ship stopped moving, surrendering. "Leave," Daeho broadcast. "If I see you near a human colony again, I won't be this gentle." The pirates limped away. Below on New Incheon, people were celebrating. Daeho received a dozen messages from grateful colonists. One was from a young woman who called herself Jiwoo. "I'm a journalist," she said in her message. "I've been following your story. Can I interview you?" Daeho normally avoided reporters, but something about Jiwoo's message felt genuine. He agreed to meet her on the colony. The spaceport at New Incheon was small and dirty, built from prefabricated modules the Coalition sold to frontier colonies. Jiwoo waited near the landing pad, a camera drone hovering near her shoulder. She was young, maybe 25, with determined eyes. "Thank you for meeting me," she said. "Most people in the Coalition think you're a criminal. But here people are calling you a hero. Which is true?" "Maybe both," Daeho said. "I didn't plan to become either. I just wanted to keep my ship. And now I want to help people the Coalition ignores. Human colonies, small settlements, anyone who gets pushed aside because they're not important enough." Jiwoo's interview spread across human networks within days. She did not just show Daeho's words. She showed New Incheon, showed the grateful miners, showed children who could sleep safely because the pirates were gone. She showed what the Coalition would not. More messages came. A colony on the edge of Velkari space was being forced off their land by a corporation. A human transport ship was stranded with a broken engine, and no one would help. A station was running out of food because supply ships refused to make the dangerous journey. Deho went to all of them. The rekindled became a symbol, a silver ghost that appeared when people needed help. He did not ask for payment. He did not ask for anything except that people remember humans were not weak. Timon contacted him once during this time. The augmented human looked older, more machine than person now. "You're making enemies," Timon said. "The Coalition has put a bounty on you. 2 million credits. Every mercenary in the galaxy is looking for you." "Let them look," Deho replied. "This won't end well. You can't fight forever." "Maybe not, but I can fight today." The crew grew into a real team. Hyojin stopped being pessimistic and started believing they could actually change things. Bora became an excellent pilot, able to fly the rekindled almost as well as Deho when he was not directly connected to the ship. Subin proved herself in battle after battle, her tactical knowledge invaluable. They saved 17 colonies in 3 months. They stopped pirates, prevented evictions, delivered medicine, and chased away corrupt officials. Jiwoo documented everything, broadcasting their actions across human space. The Coalition's official position was that Deho was a terrorist. But they could not catch him. Every trap failed. Every ambush was anticipated. The rekindled was simply too advanced, too fast, too powerful. Deho learned new abilities every week. The ship could jump to faster than light speed with almost no warning. It could become nearly invisible to sensors. It could fight entire fleets alone, but it was not just the ship. Deho was becoming a better tactician, learning to think 3 steps ahead. He studied Coalition military patterns, anticipated their responses, stayed 1 jump ahead of their forces. 6 months after becoming a fugitive, Deho received a message that changed everything. It came from Admiral Cathara, the human Coalition officer who had tried to convince him to surrender. "Deho, you need to listen. The Coalition is done playing games. They're assembling a fleet specifically to hunt you down. 20 warships, including 2 dreadnoughts. They're going to corner you near the Veil Nebula, where the refugee camps are. If you're there, they'll destroy you, and they won't care about collateral damage." Deho looked at his crew. They had been heading to the Veil Nebula for 3 days. 50,000 human refugees lived there, hiding from Coalition taxes and laws. They were desperate, barely surviving. And Deho had promised to bring them supplies. "It's a trap," Hyojin said. "Obviously," Deho agreed. "So we don't go," Bora suggested. Deho thought about the refugees, children, families, people who had nothing. If he did not go, they would starve. But if he did go, the Coalition would finally catch him. "We go," he said. "That's suicide," Hyojin said. "Maybe. But we didn't become legends by running away." The rekindled turned toward the Veil Nebula, toward the trap, toward the battle that would define everything. Deho placed his hands on the control panel and felt the ship respond. It was ready. So was he. Space was different from inside the rekindled. Deho stood in the control room, his hands pressed against the central panel, and somehow he could feel everything around the ship. It was like the vessel extended his senses, showing him the Coalition fleet, the nearby asteroids, even the distant station where Hyojin and Bora were still evacuating. 12 Coalition warships pursued him. They were faster than normal ships, military-grade vessels designed for combat. But the rekindled was faster still. Deho did not fully understand how. He thought about moving, about dodging, and the ship responded before he finished the thought. Weapons fire lit up the space behind him. Bright blue beams that would tear through a normal hull. Deho felt them coming, felt where they would be, and moved the rekindled aside. The ship rolled and twisted through space with impossible grace. "Unidentified vessel, cease movement and prepare to be boarded." Thexul's voice came through the communication system. "You cannot escape. Surrender now and you will not be harmed." Deho did not believe that for a second. He opened a response channel. "This is my ship. I bought it legally. You have no right to take it." "You have no understanding of what you possess," Thexul replied. "That vessel is dangerous. You will hurt yourself or others. Be reasonable." "I'm done being reasonable," Deho said. He pushed the rekindled faster. The ship responded eagerly, as if it had been waiting decades to move like this. Stars blurred past. The Coalition fleet fell behind, their engines straining to keep up. Deho headed toward the asteroid belt that marked the edge of this sector. 2 ships broke from the main fleet, trying to cut him off. They were lighter, faster interceptors. Deho felt them coming and thought about evasion. The rekindled dove beneath them, so close that his sensors screamed proximity warnings. The two interceptors, unable to adjust in time, nearly collided with each other. He was starting to understand the ship better. It was not just responding to his thoughts. It was anticipating, reading his intentions and translating them into movement. The Ethran had built something that worked with the pilot, not just for the pilot. The asteroid belt loomed ahead. Normal ships would slow down, navigate carefully through the tumbling rocks. Deho did not slow down. He trusted the ship, trusted his instincts, and dove into the belt at full speed. The Coalition fleet followed, but more cautiously. Deho wove between asteroids the size of buildings, feeling each movement like it was his own body. The rekindled's hull scraped against one rock, sending vibrations through the deck. But the ship was tougher than it looked. Behind him, one of the Coalition ships was not as lucky. It clipped an asteroid and spun out of control, forced to retreat. The others slowed further, giving Deho space. He found a hollow asteroid, a cavity large enough to hide the rekindled. He slipped inside and powered down everything except life support. Outside, the Coalition fleet spread out searching. Deho sat in the darkness and thought about what to do next. He could not go back. The salvage yard was gone, seized by the military. All his equipment, everything he owned except this ship, was lost. Hagen and Bora would be questioned, maybe arrested. He had become a fugitive in a matter of hours. The communications system activated on its own. Someone was hacking through his security. A face appeared on the view screen built into the wall. It was not Thexul. This person was human. Admiral Cathara was older, maybe 60, with gray hair and sharp eyes. She wore a Coalition military uniform with dozens of medals. She was one of the highest-ranking humans in the entire military. Deho, she said. Her voice was calm, measured. I know you can hear me. I need you to listen carefully. What you have done today is incredibly stupid, but also incredibly impressive. That ship should not be able to move like that. The Coalition Science Division has been studying Ethran technology for decades. You accomplished more in 6 months than they did in 60 years. Deho said nothing. I have a proposal, Cathara continued. Come in voluntarily. Let our scientists examine the ship and learn from it. In return, humanity gets access to the research. We could build more ships like this. We could become stronger in the Coalition. You would be a hero. And the ship, Deho asked, would be confiscated for study. But you would be compensated. Given a position, resources, respect, Deho laughed. It was not a happy sound. You want to take it apart. Figure out how it works, then give that technology to the same people who treat humans like garbage. The Coalition is not perfect, Cathara admitted. But it's what we have. You cannot fight the entire galaxy alone. Watch me, Deho said and cut the connection. He sat in silence for a long time. The ship seemed to be waiting, patient. Finally, he made a decision. If the Coalition wanted him to be a criminal, fine. He would be a criminal. But he would be the kind of criminal that made them regret it. Deho powered up the rekindled and left the asteroid. The Coalition fleet detected him immediately and moved to intercept. This time, Deho did not run. He headed straight toward them. The lead ship fired. Deho felt the weapons charging and moved aside. He brought the rekindled alongside the Coalition cruiser, so close their hulls almost touched. Then he thought about the ship's weapons. He did not know what they did, but he felt them activate. A pulse of energy shot from the rekindled. It was not destructive. It did not tear through the Coalition ship's hull. Instead, every electronic system on the cruiser shut down. Power died. Weapons went offline. The ship became a dead hulk floating in space. Deho did the same to the next ship and the next. Within minutes, half the Coalition fleet was disabled, their crews unharmed but helpless. He could have destroyed them all. The weapon systems had other settings, things that felt more dangerous. But he did not want to kill anyone. He just wanted to prove a point. He opened a broadcast on all channels, every frequency the Coalition monitored. His face would be appearing on screens across this entire sector. My name is Deho. I'm human. I bought this ship legally with money I earned. The Coalition tried to steal it because they think humans don't deserve to own powerful things. They're wrong. This ship responds to me because I'm human. Because I'm organic, because I haven't replaced half my body with machines. The Ethran built something that works with life, not just technology. And if the Coalition wants it, They're going to have to kill me to take it. He closed the channel and jumped to faster than light speed. The rekindled tore through space, leaving the disabled fleet behind. Alarms would be spreading across coalition networks now. Every military base would be looking for him. Good. Let them look. For the first time in his life, Daeho felt powerful. Not because of the ship, but because he had chosen to stand up. His sister would have been proud. He set course for the outer colonies, the places where humans lived on the edges of coalition space. If he was going to be a fugitive, he might as well help people who needed it. The next morning, the control room was still glowing. Daeho had not slept. He stood in the center of the circular space, watching the symbols shift and change on the walls. They were still unreadable, but now they felt alive, purposeful. The ship was waiting for something. Hye-jin brought her diagnostic equipment, setting up scanners around the room. Bo-Ra took readings from the power core, which was now operating at 30% capacity. Not full power, but more than anyone in the coalition had achieved in 60 years. This doesn't make sense, Hye-jin said, staring at her screens. The ship shouldn't respond to touch alone. There's no mechanism, no sensor array, nothing that explains why your hands activated it. Maybe it's not about mechanisms, Bo-Ra suggested. She was sitting cross-legged on the floor, sketching the wall patterns in a notebook. Maybe the Ethran built things differently. What if the ship reads something else? Reads what? Hye-jin asked. I don't know. Intention, biology? Something human machines don't look for. Daeho placed his hand on the panel again. The humming increased slightly. The lights brightened. He moved his hand to a different section and the pattern changed. It was responding to him, specifically to him. Let me try, Hye-jin said. She placed her hand where Daeho's had been. Nothing happened. Bo-Ra tried next. Still nothing. Only when Daeho touched the ship did it react. That's impossible, Hye-jin said. You're not special. We're all human. Our biology is the same. But Daeho was thinking about something else. He remembered standing in the hangar that first day, touching the hull, feeling that strange sense of rightness. He thought about all the aliens who had tried to activate this ship and failed. The coalition species were advanced, augmented with cybernetics and genetic modifications. Humans were the only major species that remained mostly organic. What if that's exactly why it works? Daeho said. What if the ship needs something organic, something unmodified? That's a theory, Hye-jin admitted. But how do we test it? The answer came 3 days later when Captain Thexel returned to the salvage yard. The coalition officer brought a team of scientists with him, all from different species. They had heard about the activation and demanded access to study the ship. This vessel is a relic of historical importance, Thexel said. His scaled face showed no emotion. You cannot keep it for yourself. The coalition must understand this technology. Daeho stood in front of the ship. I bought it legally. It's mine. You are one human with no authority, Thexel said. We are the coalition. We maintain order in this galaxy. Stand aside, the scientists tried everything. They brought advanced sensors, quantum computers, AI systems more sophisticated than anything humans owned. They spent hours analyzing the ship. Nothing worked. The ship remained active, glowing softly, but it would not respond to any of them. Finally, Thexel turned to Daeho. Make it do something. Prove you can control it, Daeho hesitated. He did not actually know if he could control anything. But he walked to the central panel and placed his hands on it. This time, he tried something different. He did not just touch. He thought about what he wanted. He pictured the ship's engines starting, imagined the power flowing through the systems. The ship responded immediately. The humming became a roar. Throughout the vessel, systems activated in sequence. The engines, dormant for decades, came online. The entire salvage station shook as the ship's power surged. One of the scientists, a thin gray alien with too many fingers, made a choking sound. Impossible. There is no interface, no control system. How is he doing this? Daeho pulled his hands away and the ship quieted. But now he understood. The Ethran had not built a ship that needed buttons and screens. They had built something that responded to thought, to intention, to the organic patterns of a living mind. Get out, Daeho said to Thexel. All of you. Leave my station. The captain's eyes narrowed. You are making a mistake, human. The coalition does not forget defiance. They left, but Daeho knew this was not over. Over the following weeks, Daeho, Hye-jin, and Bo-Ra learned to work with the ship. They named it the Rekindled, because it had been dead and was now alive again. Daeho spent hours each day in the control room, his hands on the panels, thinking and feeling his way through the ship's systems. It was not easy. The ship had its own logic, its own way of organizing functions. What humans thought of as weapons might be in the same system as life support. What looked like navigation was mixed with communications. But slowly, Daeho began to understand. Bora proved to be naturally talented. While she could not activate the ship, she could read Daeho's descriptions and build interfaces that helped translate his intuitive understanding into practical information. Hyojin remained skeptical but worked harder than anyone, mapping every system they discovered. Then the offers started coming. First it was Velrathi, the Zelthari merchant who had sold them the ship. He claimed the contract was invalid, that he had not known the ship could be activated. He offered to buy it back for 10 million credits. Daeho refused. Next came the corporations, massive coalition companies that built ships and weapons. They offered 50 million, then 100 million. Some offered partnerships, promising to make Daeho rich if he would just share the technology. He refused them all. Taemin arrived in person, landing his expensive ship at the salvage yard. He had changed in the past year, augmented himself with alien technology. One of his eyes was artificial, glowing blue. His left arm was mechanical. "You're being stupid," Taemin said. "Take the money. You'll never be able to keep this ship. The coalition will take it from you eventually. At least get something for it." "It's not for sale," Daeho said. "Why? What's the point? You think one ship will change anything? Humans are still the weakest species in the coalition. This changes nothing." "Maybe," Daeho said. "Or maybe it changes everything." Taemin left angry. 2 days later, a coalition military fleet arrived at the salvage yard. Thexel was with them along with a dozen warships. By order of the Coalition Council, the captain announced over open channels, the Ethrin vessel is declared a hazardous artifact requiring proper containment. Surrender it immediately or face military action. Daeho looked at Hyojin and Bora. "Get everything portable and get off the station. Take the shuttle. What are you going to do?" Hyojin asked. "Something stupid," Daeho said. He ran to the Rekindled and sealed himself inside. His hands found the control panels and he thought one clear thought. Fly. The ship tore free from the salvage yard, ripping through the docking clamps like they were paper. The coalition fleet scattered as the Rekindled accelerated faster than any ship they had ever seen. Daeho did not know where he was going. The year is 2247. Humanity has been part of the Galactic Coalition for 30 years but remains a minor player, seen as weak, technologically backward, and desperate for acceptance among the advanced alien civilizations. Main characters introduce Daeho, a 34-year-old human salvage operator working on the fringes of Coalition space. Pragmatic, resourceful, and haunted by the death of his sister in a mining accident caused by faulty alien equipment. Hyojin, Daeho's best friend and engineer, brilliant with machinery but pessimistic about humanity's place in the galaxy. Instructor Velrathi, a condescending Zelthari merchant who views humans as inferior scavengers. Plot summary: Daeho operates a small salvage business at the edge of Coalition territory, barely scraping by. When a Zelthari freighter arrives with a damaged alien warship in tow, a relic from an extinct civilization called the Ethrin, the merchant Velrathi offers it for sale. The ship is considered worthless. Its systems are incompatible with modern technology. Its power core is dead, and no one in the Coalition has been able to make it operational in decades. Every major corporation and military power passed on purchasing it. Velrathi offers it to Daeho for the equivalent of scrap metal prices, a pittance. Hyojin warns him it's a waste of credits, but something about the ship calls to Daeho. Against all logic, he buys it. The other salvagers mock him. Even the humans in the Coalition think he's made a foolish mistake.